United Health Group stock was a winner today, and it is due in large part to a major change in reimbursement costs from Obamacare. In a complete 180 reversal, regulators now say the payment rate for Medicare Advantage patients is going up 3.3%. That is instead of the original cut of 2.2%, which was announced back in February. Not surprisingly, healthcare provider stocks shut up on the news. Now may be the time to jump in and buy shares. For more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Sreedhar Potarazu of Vital Springs Technologies and Les Funtleiter, a managing director at the investment firm Polywog. All right, guys, thanks to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Dr. P, let me start with you. Why do you think the government reversed this decision?
Oh, a lot of lobbying money. You know, I could have sworn that the position of the government was to try and get the insurance companies under better control and to try and reel in all of these ridiculous profits. And a big part of Obamacare in terms of trying to cut down cost was actually reducing reimbursement to Medicare Advantage. What happened to all of that? All of a sudden, we've turned the new leaf.
Yeah, do you agree with that?
It's amazing.
Well, I agree with the premise. I think what happened along the way was a recognition that if they didn't raise rates, insurance companies would probably exit some markets, and that would cause disruption to voters who vote. And that was, I think, in the end, why there was a turnaround.
Dr. P, I mean, what about that? Because that's what a lot of people worried about, was that they wouldn't offer, you know, doctors wouldn't accept Medicare patients if they cut the amount of reimbursement, that it just wasn't worth it. I mean, we've had many doctors come on the program and say that by cutting what they would be paid, it wasn't even covering the cost, that they weren't going to stay in that business. Do you not believe that? I mean, you're a doctor yourself.
I think that some doctors do believe that. And for certain procedures and services, it just may not make sense. I also agree with the fact that there are a lot of politically motivated factors in terms of the more recent decisions that are being made around the Affordable Care Act. Yeah. Because, as I said earlier, you know, the jury is slowly coming out in terms of how effective the Affordable Care Act really is, the nightmares that are happening between now and October 1st. Yeah. And ironically, they're starting to change the tactic, because I believe that there's going to be a lot of political repercussion between now and next year.
But let's stick to this one specific issue of these reimbursements, because I'm trying to figure out, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because in some ways, it could be a good thing if the insurance companies are reimbursed more. Maybe premiums go down. I mean, maybe they provide more services. I don't know. Les, what do you think?
Well, I think from an investing point of view, this is actually a good thing. You know, I will leave sort of the philosophical differences apart, but I think most investors had thought that there was a cut coming, which is why you saw the reaction today on the market. Right. It's also good for private companies, a lot of whom we invest in, because they're seeing sort of the follow-on effects. They get to clean up the damage.
And also, I mean, a lot of them, maybe not for this in particular, but a lot of companies are, I mean, they do pay healthcare and premiums for their employees. So if healthcare insurers are making more money one way or the other, maybe premiums for them go down. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of complicated moving pieces.
It's very theoretical. I think to your other guest's point, I mean, 2014 is going to be a very interesting year as far as premiums. I don't think anybody's really sure how premiums are going to shake out next year.
Dr. P, what's your impression on this? Good thing or bad thing? I mean, it's probably a bad thing for taxpayers, right? Because that's where this money's coming from.
Well, that's who's paying for it. I think in the short term, good thing for insurance companies, maybe a good thing for consumers if premiums don't go up. As far as doctors are concerned, until they start receiving those bumps in terms of reimbursement, I wouldn't hold your breath. Okay. They're paying insurance companies more, but they're not necessarily paying doctors more, and we'd love to see that happen.
Yeah, very interesting turn of events. Thanks to both of you for coming on.